Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help out those analytics. Man, I forgot that Company of Heroes had really good music when you're playing it.
Oh,
I
do
never
you
have
have
it
music?
enabled during a game.
You do have music going, right?
Yeah,
Alright.
easy clap. Oh
So we got
yes.
3 Wehrmacht, and we also have American, British. What was it? Soviet, 2 British, and an American.
Here's a strategy where I really don't like. I don't think this is good anymore. This building, now that it has the heavy cover coming from the what is this? The south side.
Yeah.
It's not very good for the north to ever get in this building because even if you get an MG in here, it's not going to suppress faster than you can get a Volks with a grenade in it.
And
So
as opposed to the building, the heavy cover is normal. Although I
yeah,
gotta say, your placement in the middle here with the machine gun, that was pretty nice, holding down the middle for it.
yeah. As soon as I saw them in this building, I immediately went to secure this point because this is the optimal spot for mortars. And since this bridge is here and the other bridge is still there, you basically want to secure your munitions because that's how you're going to take them off. Here it is. 4 pioneers moving into this building, and they're just able to drive that thing out unopposed.
It was kind of nice being able to come through that. Footbridge gets annoying mid-game, but it's kind of nice at first, being able to just kind of cross through. Here you are with the heavy cover.
Yeah.
You and
Unfortunately,
Hans
there's a unfortunate machine gun being destroyed by some penals in the back.
Yeah, sadly Hans Coffey's getting a little there. No,
Yep,
I didn't realize you had a sniper this whole game.
Our person on the far left does not appear to be paying attention very much. I mean, he's got both his mortar and his MG suppressed, but hey, at least he's pulling up some more mortars and getting some frontline infantry. So he's doing things, just not very well.
Initially, it looked like we were going to be able to take the whole map at first, but yeah, he's kind of run into a double team between the 2 British, who are just kind of mortar spamming.
Yeah. The Red British probably should be advancing more aggressively. He did get mined, but there's no reason for him to not push more against essentially an open field.
The interesting thing is, I think that was a partially built mine too. I don't think it had been. No, I did complete.
It was fully completed.
Yeah.
It doesn't blow up if they're partially completed. Here's what you really don't want to see before the 5-minute mark. This American already has 3 rifleman units and a rear echelon. That's probably too much infantry right now. Like, he probably should have either invested in a second rear echelon to actually get some mines out, even though they don't have very good mines. The American mine is at least effective against light vehicles, but or a mortar.
It would be a bit more effective though if he wasn't lobbing, because against the Germans, we're able to just spam out, especially against 3 Wehrmacht players. You're able to just spam machine guns. There's no way they're gonna get through a field of machine guns.
Here's the thing: if he hadn't gone that extra rifleman, he would
An extra mortar would have done
he would have had
amazing.
either an extra mortar, or he would have had his grenade package, or he would have had weapons rack instead as well.
Exactly.
So he would have less manpower burn and be getting further on in this engagement with less. Is this where I lose my sniper? Yes.
Oh,
It's very tragic.
You didn't invest in another one during the game, did you?
No. I learned my lesson. This corner was honestly really hard to micro the sniper in. I thought it would be a little easier since I put that second piece of cover up.
That was an unfortunate loss of a Sturm Pioneer squad. I wasn't paying attention to it and ran straight into a satchel charge.
Yeah. The guy on our far left, he's not holding that well, and he's yet to cap any of his side, so it is worrying. He probably would have closed the game out a lot faster had he capped these 3 points on this edge.
They could have done a lot to improve that engagement.
Forward elevator report and infantry unit lost.
And at this point, the whole left side actually has 2 mortar pits already. Don't know if the one's on very low health, but it's getting repaired already.
Yeah, that's going to be back at full health soon.
So they've very bunkered that down.
Command level
I'm surprised he's able to get so much damage with it. He only has 1 mortar, correct?
Commander village.
Yeah, only 1 mortar on his side. He's been able to do a ton of damage.
He's also been able to get some line of sight here and there.
Yeah.
So at first we're just kind of focusing on the right victory point here. Not kind of really...
We're really just trying to secure our fuel still.
Yeah, it's good that we are holding what... And it's kind of unfortunate for the other side. They've kind of bunkered down with on the left, which can cover both points. But now that we're going to be slowly teching into armor more and more, we're just going to be able to take it back eventually.
Yeah,
and
this
now
is the problem. If you leave the British alone, like we have done now, and they're not pushing against you, these aren't getting any value. This mortar emplacement has gotten 1 kill. The other mortar emplacement has gotten 0 kills. And how many resources have you dropped into that just to keep it alive?
And just their pushes through the footbridge really isn't that smart of an idea, just due to the fact we're able to siphon them off. You have machine guns occasionally, but I also have infantry that can just wreck at such close range. It negates whatever they're building.
Plus they're also pushing us in medium to heavy cover.
We just lost a unit.
Like, I think this push was literally just to throw a satchel on my med base.
Yeah, because as soon as they did that, they just got out of there. Unfortunately, you did lose your mortar.
I remember that now.
And there goes the Goliath. I don't think this one did much.
Many.
Yeah, this one didn't do much at first. Oh no, it did get one. Almost.
It did a pretty good job.
It got 4 of the 6.
Alright, have these mortar emplacements gotten any kills yet? 2. 2 on the 1. And the other one's up to 3.
Oop, and there goes the one.
And
The one just got destroyed.
So,
I must say, this one guy, he is doing very well. He isn't achieving much, but he is holding against 2 British players, one with double Piats already.
Like, I don't think any of his units have gotten a ton of kills because they haven't been pushing into him with their infantry. But they've gotten so much value of that damage and just resource drain by destroying those mortar pits. Alright, moving back to the American. This is when the American decided to try and get clever. I don't know how well it worked out for them though. As you can see, he's moving right into an MG. And he does have a defensive position now, covering the fuel, but I think we'll be able to crack it pretty soon.
He entered too far. He entered too early is what it was. He should have kept going around a bit more. And at this point, the British has just been bunkering up like crazy. Although I think our one light character, he currently does have a mortar and a mobile mortar half-track to deal with that.
Yeah. The guy on the far left.
Oh, and here comes another Goliath. Their pushes were a bit piecemeal at times. So it's like we never really had to defend that much because here comes the Russian. He's coming in and the American already pushed on the right. There isn't much coordination happening.
I remember this Goliath being pretty decent. Well, I'm not sure if I'm correct.
It sits there for a bit.
Alright.
correctly. And it's kind of unfortunate because the British are sitting on the left side with just units kind of doing nothing. Like, they have one...
Yeah, that Bofors, what is that Bofors supposed to be defending?
Like, it would have been more beneficial towards the center, or in between the victory on the road, because once the walls get destroyed, then you can kind of see both sides, but at this point it's doing...
I almost thought it said Puma for a second, but it's a Puma. I was mistaken.
Yeah, it's a Puma. I should have gone with a... whatchamacallit?
Oh, looks.
Oh, looks first. Just
I mean, we do a pretty decent anti-infantry. Well, never mind. The scout car is dead.
Usually
I take that back.
Yeah. Because the one guy has just so much anti-tank, and it's like, at this point, I'm expecting them to have... Usually the Americans have, like, at least a little light armor, a universal carrier here and there. They're
The
not
Soviets
getting
could afford a T-70. The Americans are about
Here goes the
ways away from the tank.
There goes the Goliath, all the way in the back. It's looking for the machine gun, but the no-go.
I don't think this one gets there.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't. Oh, here is the flak track. The American flag track.
Yes, the
I wanted
American
to get
flag.
through that.
It hit
That's
my
why-
mind. I was so happy with that.
Light vehicle just got destroyed.
Although there isn't... They aren't going for any T-70s or anything, which is... They're going for the KV-1 though. Flame.
Yeah.
The Flamer.
But at this point, there isn't a ton of AT on the field, so it could do well. But the problem is, where the AT is all in the chokes. And if he pushes that into the chokes...
It's going to get demolished.
Yeah.
And I must say,
Combat unit ready.
our one character, Lithium, he is doing very well to destroy British emplacements. Like, the Bofors was almost destroyed for a minute there. He didn't get it, but it was almost.
And unfortunately, this is just
This
the way we have
Goliath.
to deal with it.
This Goliath by the bridge, that's gonna do it.
Oh. Are these Americans about to have a bad day?
They had a very bad day.
2 squads just taken out.
Just a taste of what was yet to come.
And at this point, the infantry spam that they were doing was starting to become pretty effective, because they were able to essentially just hold us down with infantry, and they were able to hold mid with infantry.
And now that we have the Flamer coming along,
Yeah, now the flame truck's up.
I mean, all we really had was Hans, and he didn't have much at that point in terms. He only had one pack, which versus a Flamer is just gonna get rolled straight through.
But I believe there is a Kubel here to support it.
And we do have a Rakettenwerfer, but that's about it.
So, yeah, not a Kubel over Kettenwerfen. That's what I meant.
Yes, that has a engine, goes vroom vroom,
Vroom vroom.
uses gas.
Yes, and here's the looks. Coming at the 13-minute mark. It may have been a bit late.
At the nah, not at all. Could never be. The looks is always on time. As soon, yeah, the American player has a Sherman coming onto the field at this point.
Ooh,
Crouch just
the
wasted some
KV
of
has
our
gotten backed up.
And here, I'm not really watching the time,
An emplacement
and
is
I'm
being
not
attacked.
expecting all this armor to be coming through. But here comes the looks trying to go through the back, and gets a very nasty surprise.
That is a ton of AT. And then, oh, the Sherman too. Well, there goes that looks.
And I tell it to go retreat across a different way, and it just runs straight into the tank. And it's just, what are you doing? And then if you look at the blob all the way on the left, the British blob, that's what he kept all game, and it's effective in the early game. But
Yes.
now that we're gonna start getting armor.
They keep coming across this bridge. I will keep an MG here at all times. Unfortunately, the Rakettenwerfen is down, and I didn't notice that.
Yeah. But the British player on the left.
I'm going to take a ton of damage to my infantry.
Yeah, the British player on the left, he is pushing us back to our base though. But then here's the one machine gun in the building. You always want one in that building. You can't exactly cover all of the victory point in middle, but it keeps them from flanking around.
It basically protects this little choke area down past the fuel.
Which is very interesting, because if they can get back in here, your game's gone, essentially.
Yeah. And yes, here is my late game contribution, the Ostwind.
That survived quite a while, though. It was quite effective.
This Ostwind's going to go on and do great things. Truly great things, so don't worry about it.
And here comes the Flamer again.
Double packs now as well. So this Flamer's about to have a very bad day.
You know,
ooh,
I wasn't expecting it to be melted that much. And actually, we did get it here. We did take it out. And at this point, I'm beginning to position
that
my...
double pack. And now my Ostwind's able to go in uncontested.
Very effectively at that. Now I'm beginning to position all my Goliaths I'm making because of the supply drops we're getting. I'm beginning to position them around middle so that we can eventually take it back.
Yeah, and here comes the Sturm Squad into middle.
It's kind of interesting the picks they went, because we don't really have any armor right now, and they already went with the Sherman Firefly.
They're just playing Hold the Castle over here.
Like, they're preemptively choosing things, which actually, I'm very surprised at how we did with this. The packs actually achieved so much in this, because I did not realize that there actually were two Shermans.
The packs are just able to contribute so much when you have them essentially funneled into the show.
And you also have, you're using characters in front of, you're using troops in front of them in order to spot for them too. So they're using their maximum range, not just their vision.
Yeah. And that's honestly the best thing you can do as a player who's like struggling to get tank kills is just to get better recon.
And that's actually
like
very interesting. The guy on our left, he actually went for 2 packs, although he's not being pressured that lot by heavy armor. And now I'm kind of contesting in the middle with the one British player, and they're also pushing on the other side too at the same time. But we do have quite a few wipes coming in mid here. But unfortunately, the second British player is going to be flooding in, and we can't really contest with that a lot.
Yes.
Thankfully,
here's
though, your
Ostwind.
Ostwind
finally getting back up from repairs.
Is just shredding their push.
It will eventually stop the push, yeah. You must be slightly ahead of me.
But this one British player, purple, who's just infantry blobbing, he got ambushed.
They tried to IL-2 bomb these the guns, and if it weren't for the Ostwind, that would have gone through, and we would have lost both packs there.
The American push was getting
and
pretty far.
Here they have artillery in the back now, able to striking at these pack guns, and they're really just aiming to break the pack guns so they can push up their tanks.
Yeah, I must agree with that, because although it's kind of to their detriment that they went for that, because we actually have not bunkered up a lot. We really do not have that many static structures defending.
Yeah. Like, there are a couple of hard points, but most of it's still mobile. So this might have been a mistake to go for so early.
Eventually, once they start getting...
We could have afforded a Katusha, and that would have probably been the right call.
Yeah. It requires munitions, right? The artillery piece? It doesn't require manpower?
The artillery requires manpower and fuel.
And manpower and fuel, really?
Yes, they rechanged.
Yeah.
They changed it recently.
That
And
could,
here you go. Here they call in another artillery piece. The priest.
I don't believe the priest did much for them because there really is not much, except for that one bunker maybe facing the right point. That's about it. Being used to.
Rifle squad ready for action.
It's
As a
very
static
interesting
position.
that our player that you went with the AA truck. Is that for aerial defense, or are you gonna actually try and use that on the front line?
Oh, that's definitely a frontline pick right here, because they're currently just funneling massive amounts of lobs right through here, and it's because of that I went straight for the AA truck.
I think this is about to be the unfortunate. I remember this engagement. This Ostwind is putting in the Lord's work, holding back these infantry attacks.
They were actually doing pretty well contesting your side, I gotta say.
Yeah.
It was very interesting because now the British players on the left, they had a lot of artillery strikes being called in, but they weren't doing much. They are using a very little blob to get through here, as where they have a lot more troops back towards their base, and they're not using them for this push. Which is kind of confusing, because they could have broken our backs right there if they used all of their forces. Especially here with the Soviets, they're just sitting there. They might be waiting for they're probably waiting for the machine gun bunker, but they can still move around it. But they're not moving in.
Attacking one of our forward
Yes, I think there was probably a miscommunication between the American and the Soviets on when to push in.
And then look at these Shermans. It looks like they're going to try to flank around, but there's just so much over here that will keep them from pushing in. And then here comes the British blob on the left again.
Your Sturm groups are starting to get whittled down.
Yep, at this point I'm beginning to think I might as well switch from Sturms over to Obersoldaten. Kind of
Yeah.
slowly upgrade as I take losses.
reconnaissance flight ready and
Here comes the Sherman Brigade. That MG.
And now
I
they're
feel
all
bad
kind of.
for it.
I think the Soviet kind of saw the push going on, but now there's just so much armor and anti-tank that it's not worth it. But look on the left with the British player, and they're all basically one units, but just taking those out with the Goliath means he has to get 3 whole new squads again to fill that up.
Oh, here comes the Goliath on my screen. 3 squads.
And then here we go again, just another ambush. Sacrificing the
I was
flat
going
track.
to get that with my, have I bought it yet? No, I don't believe I have. I thought you were going to get that with your Stuka. Oh wait, no, I did buy it. Oh no, Lithium bought it. I will eventually see the need to get my own Panzerwerfer, but that moment has yet to come.
Oh, look at the Su-85 in the middle, though. That was... I positioned the Goliath just perfectly, and I'm so glad I picked up on that with your Ostwind chasing it, just to move the one Goliath out.
This is... I feel bad for taking out... Because with just an Ostwind and 1 Goliath, we managed to take out an Su-85.
I think one Werfen helped a little bit, but if that had gotten away, things could have been changed much more differently, because now we're getting into heavier armor, and their Su-85, just keeping that alive would have helped so much. Although the American player does have a Jackson, and they're going to be getting another one later in the game. Although, once again, we're seeing the Wehrmacht player on our left. He's investing on a lot of artillery, and he's actually being able to just whittle down the British emplacements. There's your Panzerwerfer doing work on the Americans.
The Lord's work.
It's very interesting because we have a lot of anti-tank on the left side and on the right side, but we have very little in middle.
To be
And
fair,
now-
midpoint is a large distance with long sight lines.
And now I also have a Stuka to face these emplacements and infantry blobs, but it's not doing a lot. And I'm so glad they did not shoot the Goliath there. The Goliath that was in the middle of your troops. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, surprise! What is that now? That's about... It has to be at least 6 squad wipes at this point. Yeah, it was very interesting, though, that they went for the pick of the Churchill at this point. Because right now you kind of want to be going for... Yes, the heavy tank is nice to push through to kind of soak up damage, but you're also facing off against Panthers and etc. with much better anti-tank value, which can just shred straight through that thing. And it only has a 6-pounder. So what on earth is that going to be doing? It's going to keep losing that engagement unless it has support, which they are not giving it.
The Churchill has a very big problem where it's not quite combat effective enough to be coming out in 25 minutes. They would have probably been better off investing in a 17-pounder.
Yep, they would have been much better off. Even though they are getting bombarded down so much, 17-pounder would have just kept that whole point safe. I was getting worried here at this point with the Soviets and Americans finally able to take that victory point and just pushing straight through. Although at this point,
I believe this is the point I realized that the artillery pieces are right next to each other, though. So, be warned that that's about to happen. That the Panzerwerfer is about to have its moment in the sun.
Mechanized regimental HQ has been destroyed. A mobile command vehicle has been dispatched.
Did it just fire? Oh, you got the Katusha.
Oh yes, this is the Katusha. Yep.
We almost took the top victory point, but the British came and took it back from them.
This is when the Katusha died. So it's going to be 30 seconds, and then I'm going to be able to take out.
This is a really heavy armor push, though. It's actually very interesting. The Russian and the American are working very well to keep this push alive, and the Jacksons are beginning to take their toll on us.
Yeah,
Just
getting that penal troop into the back lines. They are going to lose one. Maybe not.
It's very
Nope, that
interesting.
penal does not get away.
And then here we go again. The British are once again pushing on the other side. I have a Goliath going in, which is very nice having the wall here, because they can't see across the other side, which does benefit me being able to get around them. And once they're on retreat, there's just no chance of getting away from this. And there we go. That's another double squad wipe. And it's very nice to see that on the right side, you and our other Wehrmacht player have kind of vetted up at this point and are able to successfully fend off the Soviet and American infantry.
Well, this poor Katusha. Once I saw it, I knew it wasn't going to be long for this girl.
Oh, here is the artillery strike going for.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you did lose a squad over there, but that cannot be avoided, sadly.
Supply half-track is in action. Standing by for setting of command.
But we kind of keep dueling back between here, and we almost have full map control at this point between the victory points. And now we actually have a Tiger from our other Wehrmacht player kind of beginning to push up. They actually had a Valentine in the back acting as a scout. But unfortunately, that isn't really going to be affecting the game that well. Because they're so far back at this point. Although it is getting them quite the sight range. It just doesn't seem like that good of an investment. Now that we're so late into the game. But at this point, we've been able to take actually the left point, destroy all the bunkers they had positioned at that point, and the middle point. Now actually we're losing the right victory point, oddly enough. They finally took it, and now they finally secured it, but now we have both the other 2 points again, finally. Sadly though, on the top left, we have that massive British blob just funneling in again. Which I'm trying to do a tactical retreat with the Obersoldaten, but
it's just terrifying.
It really is terrifying, and you can't really go in there with a vehicle either. You need a machine gun, which
are these guys double equipped with Brins as well? Alright, one of them has a Bren. The rest just have one AT gun.
Oh, but look at the middle victory point. It's the American blob finally comes to the victory point, but I have a Goliath just sitting there waiting. As they just turn their attention away. Oh my gosh. It almost got bombarded.
I was not paying attention to that, let me tell you. But don't worry.
Although it's very nice to see
that was my last mistake I made with it.
The lithium, he did pay attention and he did reposition his machine gun.
For strike.
Yep. He did pay attention and he did reposition his machine gun just in time to thwart the one British blob moving in. Which sadly, the British blobs aren't that effective anymore. But the Jackson
Tiger's doing the Lord's work. It's got 16 kills.
He is. He is doing
There's
well. He is now at 19.
Unmanned Brumbar also on the right. So,
Oh, is this where you lose your Ostwind?
I don't think I lose my Ostwind, do I? I'm not entirely sure.
You lose the Ostwind. There's nothing. That Jackson just
dominates me.
I must say though, it's very interesting to watch the Grenadiers just try to fend off the Jackson.
I think my main problem was the close range Katusha strike and the double Jacksons.
Although it did interrupt them for a bit there.
That Lord's
and did
work.
give enough.
That was 47 kills.
I must question though, it's Hans Coffey is keeping his anti-tank back while a half-track pushes up. Although now he does push them up and takes. Although Terror Tactics, I must say, was very well used in the middle here, kind of locking down the infantry, as we don't really have any more anti-tank guns left over on this side. And here I come with the Obersoldaten trying to help out, but there really isn't much to help out with that at this point, because the push has already been stalled. But look at your Panther on that bridge. The Americans think they got it all. They actually have a Piat too. They think they made it. They got you. You're beat. And then just here comes the victory point. They're not paying attention. Goodbye.
The Goliath strikes again.
That's so nice. It's like, now that the whole battlefield is just muddied up, got all these craters, you can find cover anywhere. And if you keep paying attention to where everything is, where everything's moving, you can just...
My poor Panther.
You can just get rid of so much. It can be so effective. And at this point, you actually took the right victory point again. And now we're beginning to ramp up more of that armor. which is becoming a bit more of a problem for them. Although they now do have two-star. Actually, we did get one of the Jackson. I don't remember when we got it, but we did get one of the Jacksons.
Here's
But
something to watch.
Here comes the British blob on the left again.
British blob is coming back into town.
But look at that machine gun. There's nothing he can do against that.
1 MG.
It's like, at this late in the game, you need to have a tank, or you need to be working with someone who has a tank. Like, you cannot survive the game. Because look, this whole blob is just coming straight in. Straight into the line of fire. And it's taking damage, but it's doing so much work. And it's very interesting to see. We kind of have like a lot of back and forth at this point. Now that we do have the armor, they have the armor, we're able to actually contest it. Kind of going back and forth between the victory.
And they've had the victory points because we left them alone, and they were able to tick us down.
Yeah,
so
actually,
much. This game is going to go on so long.
We're more than
this game is.
Yeah, it's like
pretty much.
We're looking at probably an eventual loss here, but now we even have a King Tiger coming back, and they lost momentum somewhere, and it's just whatever it was. They lost the momentum. They didn't take advantage of it, and now this is what happens in late game. You just have a king tiger. You have 2 panthers just running rampant. You have 5 really good infantry just wiping everything. And here the guy is, he's still building Bofors. They have 2 Bofors on the left point. As why? They should be building 17 pounders. Like, they have a Sherman Firefly. But what's that going to do? Although I must say, your mine placement in the middle victory point. Please watch that.
Very rushed.
You're going to enjoy it. It's I love this.
They see me build it.
They see the Goliath go after the Firefly, and the Firefly actually moves away.
But the Churchill
the Churchill eats it, but it's enough to push them back. It's just very interesting to watch that. At this point, they know the Goliath is dangerous. And they'll actually run away from it without doing very much to counter it.
The Tiger just rushes to kill this Churchill.
Actually, they're going after the Sherman Firefly.
Ah.
Which, I don't remember. Do we get them?
There's no, this Beaufort just pours in the damage to that rear arm.
We don't take it out. But the Jackson, I thought the King Tiger would be fine. It would do well. No, the Jacksons just come in and do so much damage. 2 hits and it's already at half health.
90mm armament.
It's just, oof, that powerful. Like, it hurts.
He didn't even select his armor piercing. Had he selected that beforehand, he would have been toast.
Oh yeah. And it's a 2-star, and here it comes. It's just trying to get my tank. Oh my gosh, like, at this point, I'm thinking, oh, the King Tiger's gone, and I'm like, I want to get away. It's like, oh, I messed up there. But here comes the Goliath. Watch this. He tries to shoot the Goliath, he misses, and there's a mine. And there's another mine.
Second mine.
Victory! And at this point, the pushes by the Soviets on the right are just being countered so hard by you and the other Wehrmacht player that it's doing so little. And then I watched the Sexton in the middle. I have a Goliath. I'm thinking, oh, I'll shoot something else. But there's a Sexton just sitting there. But look at the Goliath. Like, I tell it to keep moving places, and the AI just says, oh, I'm moving backwards, so I'll turn around and just move straight into the arc of the machine gun.
I felt so bad for that poor Goliath. And at this point, they surrender.
Yeah, at this point, they're so desperate. They want to get the American and Soviet player. They're just trying to push so deep, and they sacrifice the Jacksons, which, if they had done a little better better. Like, if they had duked it out, tried duking it out there with the Jacksons, they could have done a little work. But
And they had an opportunity to win this. I feel like if anyone has the blame for this loss, it's Kruger over here.
the purple British.
Yes, there's just too much infantry.
There's
and just
the infantry,
not enough late game.
The infantry did dominate in the beginning of the game, but then he kept building Bofors and emplacements, and it just was not doing anything.
He hasn't even unlocked his next line of tanks. He didn't unlock his last line of tanks.
He had no armor coming in, and a comet would have helped so much there.
And it's not like these guys lacked armor. They both have 600 and 1,000 fuel, respectively. They could have easily done a tank push. The Soviets have 300. They're by no means down on reserves. They have armies fluctuating in the 50s.
But that's just the thing. It's like, if you do an infantry blob, it works. But you need to do something to kind of back up from that towards late game. Because just one machine gun with enough anti-tank support behind it, you have that blob coming in. What can it do?
Yeah, and this is another game where it's just a great example of fuel versus munitions. Like, if you have a very balanced build on these fuel and munition ports, you're going to be very hard to take out. And especially with, the import of all those munitions constantly during the game onto that munition point for us to grab. Just let us use those Goliaths so effectively.
Yep. And I must say, Hans Coffey pulling in his supply drop zones were so nice. He actually called in 5. I thought he only called in 4, but he called in 5. It helped so much just kind of ramp up my Goliath production, which I must say, I didn't really do much to hold the front line or anything. It was basically between you and Hans Coffey, and then Lithium towards late game. Lithium did better towards the late game, but he did well holding against 2 British players, harassing their emplacements. As where the 3 of us focused on right and then mid, and then kind of kept switching between that.
Yeah, there's not a huge difference in income. They're earning 52 munitions and 35 a turn, and we're actually only earning 47 and 35. So technically, they are making slightly better value over time, and they might have wanted to keep testing this.
They definitely could have, but once they kind of suicided and went all for goal, they kind of lost it at that point. But you can see
once these choke points get really bogged down by the fuel and by the middle victory point, it's hard to push in with a
and once
advantage.
You let the Germans get their armor and keep it, there's very little that can be done to get rid of it. And it's very interesting to see in the post results map in the view, everybody did very well, from basically in 20,000 to 30,000, which is very respectable. But then you just have Kruger at 10,000 damage, and with the most losses on their team as a British.
It was the blob.
And it's kind of interesting to see. You can tell who I was hitting with the Goliaths, because Kruger just kept getting hit. The American kept getting hit. You can see all those losses. The American at least had anti-tank, had the Jacksons to do the damage for him. But Kruger,
the Jacksons were nightmarishly effective.
They were terrifying. As soon as you saw them, like Panthers got melted. They almost got the King Tiger too, which I thought if they got the King Tiger, they could have brought the game.
Yeah. And honestly, when they started losing their vetted infantry, that's where the game started to take a turn.
Goliaths aren't great, but when they're effectively used, when they're watched, they do work, but you need a solid front line. which is what you guys provided for me.
Well, I think that's about it.
Yeah, that is about it. Tune in next time if we ever do this again.
Like 3-7 months. Who knows when this will happen again?
30, 40 years, we'll come out.
Once Company Heroes 3 releases.
Yeah. We'll come out with Company of Heroes 2 stuff. Relics of the Age Past.
Alright, remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help out those analytics.
Let's get us to 10,000, no, 100,000, no, 1 million likes. Top of the trending page. Everybody will be like, what the heck is this? What? I wish it was popular. Oh, I'll have to... Oh no, pause it, pause it.
No!
I'm turning the music on.
But I can't rewind.